George Lawlor.
Thank you, Cathaoirleach, and at the outset can I welcome all those people in the public gallery who have done, and can I thank them for all they've done to campaign for victims of sexual violence and indeed campaign for change. Minister, I am pleased to speak in strong support of this bill, and I thank Sinn Féin for bringing it forward to the floor of the House, and my colleagues in the Labour Party will be supporting it. This legislation is not just a legal reform, it is a lifeline for survivors. It is about ensuring that justice does not end at conviction, but continues to protect those who have endured unimaginable harm. Sexual violence is one of the most devastating crimes in our society. It is not only an assault on the body, it is an assault on dignity, trust, and the very sense of safety that every person deserves. And the scale of this problem in Ireland is staggering. 40% of adults have experienced sexual violence at some point in their lives. For women, that figure is a staggering 52%. For men, 28%. And 26% of adults have experienced sexual violence as adults. And most harrowing of all, Minister, is that 18% of women and 3% of men report non-consensual sexual intercourse as adults. These are not just numbers. They represent lives, shattered lives, futures altered and trust broken. And yet, despite this prevalence, reporting remains low and delayed. 1 in 5 survivors waits more than 10 years to disclose abuse. Nearly half of those abused as children under 13 take more than a decade to report to Gardaí. Even when cases are reported, justice is far from guaranteed. In 2024, only 8% of sexual offences reported to Gardaí were detected. Meanwhile, demand for support services is surging. Rape crisis centres recorded 13,098 helpline contacts and 14,778 counselling appointments last year, a 48% increase. These figures tell us one thing clearly. Survivors need more than words. They need action. They need protection that lasts beyond the courtroom. This bill, I believe, introduces civil protection orders for victims of serious sexual offences. These orders will prohibit contact and proximity. Offenders will be barred from contacting victims or approaching their homes, workplaces or schools, and it makes breaches a criminal offence, and that is vital. Violating these orders will carry penalties, including fines and imprisonment. It's time to treat breaches also as aggregating factors, and repeat violations will weigh heavily in sentencing. Imagine a young woman trying to return to college after a trial, and I can tell you as a father of 3 daughters I would find this harrowing, so I can only imagine how a victim would feel. A mother walking her child to school, a man rebuilding his life, always wondering if the person who violated him might appear on the street alongside them or around the next corner. This is the reality for many survivors today. Without civil protection, justice ends at sentencing. But the fear, an absolute fear, continues. This bill gives survivors a legal shield, a sense of safety and the freedom to move forward. These orders are issued only after conviction for serious sexual offences. They are time-bound and subject to the judicial oversight. The rights of the offenders are, of course, respected, but they do not override and must not override the right of victims to live without fear. This bill builds on decades of progress from the Criminal Law Rape Act of 1981 to the Sexual Offences Act of 2017, but none of these measures provided a comprehensive civil remedy for victims post-conviction. Today this is an effort, and tonight this is an effort to change that. Internationally, similar laws have proven effective. They reduce harassment, increase victim confidence and demonstrate that justice systems can be survivor-centred. Ireland should be no different. Minister, these statistics demand urgency. As a proud member of the voluntary board of Wexford Women's Refuge and as someone who works closely with Wexford Rape Crisis Centre, I can tell you that the number of people availing of these services is staggering, and I know that both services are beyond capacity, with amazing staff put to the pin of their collar to work and deal with the victims. This despite both services moving into fabulous new build facilities over the past few years. And in that move, Wexford Women's Refuge tripled its capacity, and they already need more beds to service the demand in the Wexford area. The Rape Crisis Centre are themselves in crisis, trying to meet the demands on their services, with one new case every day coming into their services in Wexford alone. The need is beyond great. So passing this bill is not just a legislative act, it is a moral imperative. It says to the survivors, we hear you, we believe you, and we will protect you. This bill, I believe, is more than law. It is about humanity. It is about ensuring that justice does not end at the courtroom door. It's about giving survivors the peace they deserve and reaffirming our commitments to a society where violence is met with accountability and compassion. It's essential that we all in this House support this bill, that we stand together for justice, for safety and for the dignity of every person who has suffered the unimaginable. So passing this legislation will not erase the pain of the past, but it will help build a future where victims are protected, perpetrators are held accountable, and our communities are stronger and safer. Can I also say, Minister, that we should lead from the front on this as well, as public representatives and as parties. And we should have a zero tolerance as public representatives of parties to perpetrators of domestic violence, of sexual violence, of all violence against any gender. If I fill in my ethics form at the end of the year, or my returns, and if I have an acre of land or I have a house, I have to put it down. But if I have a barring order against me, a protection order, a safety order, I don't have to mention it. It's ludicrous to think that in the context of ethics that we are not leading from the front, and I urge you to consider this also in the context of this legislation.
Thanks, Deputy.